Our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. I'm sure you've heard this before, but what does it actually mean? And how can understanding it be useful in our lives and our quest for growth? Let me start with the concept of beliefs, limiting beliefs in particular. So we all have beliefs about ourselves, other people, the world, how the world works, and they can either be empowering, so they move us forward, or they can be limiting, i.e. they keep us stuck and hold us back. So they could be things like, I'm not lovable, I'm not clever enough, money is a bad thing, people don't like me, people leave me. Just a few examples of beliefs that hold us back. And our beliefs really shape our experience of the world. So we have 3 internal filters that our brain is using all the time, and they're called delete, distortion, and generalization. Let me give you a quick example of those to bring it to life. So let's say you are working in a professional environment and you go for your half-yearly appraisal. So you sit down with your boss and they take you through a review of your half year. Now, if you have an underlying limiting belief that you are not good enough at your job, that will very much shape your recollection of that conversation. So maybe your boss says, hey, you're brilliant at this, this, and this, but the areas we want to develop and work on are this and this. If you have an underlying belief that you're not good enough at your job, your brain will remove from its recollection the areas that you were brilliant at and the glowing feedback that you received, but take away from the conversation with a lasting memory the areas for development, because our brains would much rather be right about what we believe than happy in the knowledge that we could be actually good at our job. So that's an example of deletion. We then have distortion. So let's say you go into that same meeting and you have a underlying limiting belief that your boss doesn't like you. Okay, again, your brain will shape that conversation, your recollection of it, based on your underlying beliefs. So, for example, your brain might distort the sound of their voice to be condescending and patronizing. It might distort it to sound clipped and short and sharp. It might have your brain thinking that your boss's closed off body language is because they don't like you, as opposed to the fact that maybe they're actually quite a shy, nervous person, or they've got something of their own going on in their personal life. So the third and final filter is generalization. So these are words like everything, always, nothing, nobody. So you, again, have those underlying beliefs that your boss doesn't like you and doesn't think you're very good at your job. You would come away from the conversation thinking, my boss always says what I'm doing wrong. My boss never praises me. But actually, it's simply that your brain has filtered out the information that confirmed otherwise, because our brain is desperate to be right. It wants to be right about what it believes. And so it's desperately grabbing at any evidence that it can get to confirm what it believes. And the more evidence it gets, the stronger the belief is. And the stronger the belief, the more sharp and prominent the filter, which means that you then collect even more evidence, which then strengthens the belief even further. So our filters become very, very rigid, and we find it more and more difficult to see information outside of what we currently believe. So this is how our outer world reflects our inner world, because 5% of our brain is conscious, 95% of it is subconscious. So there's 95% of activity and beliefs and thoughts in your mind that you're not even aware of. That's a lot, isn't it? And the key to growth and to change and to improving your levels of happiness is to understand the beliefs that are shaping the filters that you have and how they might be at work in your life. So it's very difficult to become aware of something that's in your subconscious. And the way to do that is to look at what your life is telling you. If you think lots of people don't like you, if no matter what job you go to, you always feel like you're not good enough, if you find that people are always leaving you, then perhaps, most likely, this is indicative of beliefs that you have in your subconscious. So what is your outer world telling you about your inner world, and what can you glean from that in order to change your life, to feel happier, to enjoy and experience life in a happier way.